For decades, the hockey world accepted an undeniable truth. Wayne Gretzky's 894 career goals was a mathematical anomaly, a number so staggering it was considered untouchable. That is, until a kid from Moscow, armed with a 100-mile-per-hour slapshot and an unbreakable will, decided to challenge the impossible. On April 6, 2025, Alex Ovechkin scored goal 895. He achieved the unthinkable, shattering the record that he himself declared was completely impossible to catch. But the story of the greatest goal scorer to ever live was a journey forged in the crumbling streets of post-Soviet Russia, defined by fierce rivalries, heart-wrenching family tragedy, and a Russian machine that simply never broke. From birth, athletic greatness was literally in his DNA. His mother was a two-time Olympic gold medalist and a world champion in basketball for the Soviet Union, while his father was a professional soccer player. It was almost a guarantee that Alex was going to be an athlete, and by age 2, he had already picked up a hockey stick. It was his older brother Sergei who truly ignited the spark and introduced him to the sport. Whenever their parents couldn't get young Alex to hockey events, Sergei stepped up, making sure his little brother got exactly where he needed to go. Growing up in a crumbling neighborhood on the outskirts of post-Soviet Moscow, Ovechkin's reality was bleak. But the harshest blow struck when Alex was just 10 years old. His brother, Sergei, tragically lost his life from a blood clot following a car accident. The very next day, Alex had a youth hockey game with his parents insisting he play. Through the unimaginable pain, he laced up his skates and stepped onto the ice. To this day, after every single milestone or goal, Alex kisses his glove and points to the sky, a silent, constant tribute to the brother who first helped him lace up his skates. Fueled by his profound loss and his own burning ambition, that tragedy pushed Ovechkin's dedication into overdrive. He attended public school number 596, a place infamous for military-style discipline and a tyrannical principal, eventually starting at Dynamo Moscow's sports school. While his friends were falling victim to the streets, or as he bluntly put it, getting high and getting dead, Ovechkin found his escape on the ice, training daily, both morning and night. Ovi himself later stated, "You dive into sport with your head and arms and legs, and there's no time for anything else." He kept hockey cards of star players stashed in his room, idolizing Mario Lemieux and dreaming of making it to the NHL, which he called the best hockey there is. By age 11, he was already making waves in the Dynamo Moscow system by scoring 56 goals in a single season, surpassing a record previously held by the legendary Pavel Bure. At 16, he began playing professionally in the Russian Super League, which would later become the KHL. By 17, he became the youngest ever member to play for Russia's national team, and that same year, he was selected to play in the 2002 Under-18 World Championships, leading Russia to a silver medal and scoring a ridiculous 14 goals in just 8 games, sharing the single tournament goals record with Cole Caulfield. He was an unstoppable force, and NHL scouts knew it. Ovechkin was projected as the first overall pick for roughly 2 years, drawing heavy comparisons to his idol, Mario Lemieux. His stock was so incredibly high that the Florida Panthers actually tried to draft him in the 9th round of the 2003 NHL draft. They attempted to use an audacious loophole, despite his September 15th birthday falling exactly 2 days after the eligibility cutoff. Panthers general manager Rick Dudley claimed the pick was legitimate, arguing that if you factored in leap years, Ovechkin was technically old enough to be drafted. The NHL shot that one down immediately. In 2004, the Washington Capitals officially drafted Alexander Ovechkin first overall.
Alexander Ovechkin.
But unfortunately, fans would have to wait to see him. The 2004-2005 NHL lockout wiped out the entire season, forcing Ovechkin to stay in Russia for one more year. When the lockout finally ended, Ovechkin immediately signed his entry-level contract with the Washington Capitals. The delay inadvertently set up one of the most incredible rookie races in sports history. Because of the lockout, the 2004 first overall pick, Alex Ovechkin, and the 2005 first overall pick, Sidney Crosby, both debuted in the exact same season, birthing the greatest player rivalry of the modern era. On October 5th, 2005, Ovechkin finally hit NHL ice for the first time. On his very first shift, he absolutely buried an opponent, hitting him so hard that he broke a stanchion in the glass. He went on to score 2 goals within a 4-minute span,
Alexander Ovechkin, welcome on board!
Including his first ever power play goal. But the moment that truly announced his name to the world came on January 16th, 2006. In a game against the Phoenix Coyotes, coached by none other than the great one himself, Wayne Gretzky, Ovechkin scored what is simply known as the goal. Sweeping down the wing, Ovechkin was knocked to the ice, sliding on his back, facing completely away from the net. Reaching back with one hand, he somehow hooked the puck into the net. Gretzky himself couldn't believe it went in, shaking his head in disbelief as he watched the replay on the Jumbotron. Interestingly, a young Austin Matthews was in the stands that night, later calling it the best goal he ever saw live. Ovechkin went on to win the Calder Trophy as Rookie of the Year and finished 3rd overall in scoring with a staggering 52 goals and 106 points. His 425 shots led the entire league and was the 4th highest total in NHL history at the time. He dominated the rookie class, becoming the first rookie in 15 years to be named to the NHL First All-Star Team. As Ovechkin climbed the NHL ranks, tensions flared not just with Crosby, but with another Russian phenom, Evgeny Malkin. Drafted right behind Ovechkin at number 2 overall in the 2004 NHL Draft, the two were originally good friends, even rooming together during the 2006 Winter Olympics in Italy. But things took a dark turn in August 2007. During a night out at a Moscow nightclub, Ovechkin allegedly punched and broke the jaw of Malkin's Russian agent, an allegation which Ovechkin initially denied. This sparked a bitter feud. And on January 21, 2008, tensions boiled over when Ovechkin took a run at Malkin on the ice, leading to 2 years of total silence between the two stars. Malkin famously told the Associated Press, "Ovechkin is a great player, but every time he hits me, I don't know why." Ovechkin coldly replied, "It's a game, and I think nobody has friends on the ice." At the 2008 NHL Awards, where both were nominated for MVP, they refused to even make eye contact. It eventually took fellow Russian star Ilya Kovalchuk brokering a dinner between the three of them to finally heal the rift. The feud publicly ended in 2009 when Malkin assisted Ovi during a prop-heavy routine at the All-Star Skills competition. But even at the height of this off-ice drama, Ovechkin's on-ice dominance never wavered. In 2008, he signed a 13-year, $124 million contract. What's crazy is that he negotiated the richest contract in NHL history at the time entirely by himself, without an agent. He rewarded Washington with a season that would go down in the history books. He shattered a decade-long league drought by breaking the 60-goal mark, ultimately finishing with a staggering 65 goals, breaking Luc Robitaille's record for the most by a left winger in a single season. It was the first time a left winger led the NHL in points since Bobby Hull did it back in 1966. He swept the NHL awards, winning the Lester B. Pearson, Hart, Art Ross, and the Rocket Richard trophies, becoming the first player in NHL history to win all 4 major regular season awards in 1 year. Only 6 players in history have ever won 4 major awards in a season, and Ovi was the first to do it since Wayne Gretzky. Ovi was electric, but his flashy post-goal celebrations drew heavy criticism from old-school pundits like Don Cherry.
No celebration when you score goal. Thank you, Don.
By 2010, he was named the captain of the Washington Capitals. He was hitting milestones at a blistering pace, scoring his 200th goal in his 4th season and his 500th point in his 5th, feats matched by almost no one besides Gretzky, Mike Bossy, and Mario Lemieux. He was an absolute cultural phenomenon, becoming the cover star of multiple hockey video games. He mastered what is called the Ovi spot, the left face-off circle where he would set up on the power play, unleash a 100-mile-per-hour slap shot, and beat goalies who knew exactly what was coming but were completely powerless to stop it. Ovechkin had the money, the fame, and the individual trophies. He was the undisputed king of the regular season, but in the background, a narrative was beginning to rot his legacy as critics were calling out his inability to step up in the playoffs. The years ahead would threaten to define his entire career. Between 2009 and 2017, the Capitals suffered heartbreaking second-round playoff exits year after year. The lowest point arguably came in the 2013-14 season. Ovechkin did what he always did. He won the Rocket Richard Trophy by scoring 51 goals, but he also posted an absolutely brutal -35 rating, one of the worst in the entire NHL. The media ruthlessly branded Ovechkin as a one-dimensional player who was ultimately uncoachable and too selfish to win, being a player only built for the regular season, but not for the playoffs. But then came Barry Trotz. Hired in May 2014, Trotz knew he had to address the elephant in the room. Their famous first sit-down happened over steaks at a casino restaurant in Las Vegas during the NHL Awards. Trotz didn't deliver a Hollywood-style ultimatum, but he didn't sugarcoat anything either.
I had 45 questions I wanted to ask him, and we sort of went through it, and then we just sat back and he talked about different things. And
during a 4-hour conversation, Trotz frankly shared what his former defenseman used to say about playing against the Grade 8. As long as he's standing still, he's easy to cover, and he was doing a lot of standing. Trotz acknowledged he couldn't teach Ovechkin how to score goals, but he challenged his superstar to commit to a 200-foot game, establishing a foundation of brutal honesty and mutual respect between the two of them. Over the next 3 years, the Capitals became an absolute regular season juggernaut. But despite winning back-to-back President's trophies in 2016 and 2017, both campaigns ended in soul-crushing second-round playoff exits at the hands of his ultimate rival, Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins. The ultimate do-or-die turning point happened in the summer of 2017. Following that latest agonizing playoff defeat and a slight dip in Ovechkin's production, Trotz flew to Russia and arranged to meet Ovechkin on his home turf.
Yeah, we lost in the second round, so it sucks.
Ovi picked his coach up in a white Mercedes G-Wagon and drove Trotz past his childhood landmarks, ending in them eating giant pierogies and drinking beer in a curtained section of a local Russian restaurant. It was in this intimate setting that Trotz challenged Ovechkin to completely block out the haters and reclaim his dominance for the upcoming season. According to Trotz, Ovechkin walked out of that restaurant on a mission. The very next season, Ovechkin completely bought into a team-first mindset. He laid his body on the line, played defense, and on June 7, 2018, he led the Washington Capitals on a magical playoff run to their first ever Stanley Cup. And to top it off, he captured the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP, finally quieting the critics that said he couldn't get it done when it mattered most. His Stanley Cup celebration became legendary. He slept with the cup, did keg stands out of it, and famously ended up swimming in the public fountains of Washington, D.C. with his teammates, completely delirious with joy after finally reaching the mountaintop. With his legacy secured as a Stanley Cup champion, Ovechkin turned his sights towards the record no one thought could ever be broken, Wayne Gretzky's 894 goals. As he entered his late 30s, an age where hockey players are supposed to slow down, Ovechkin defied time and continued to dominate. He began skipping All-Star games, willingly taking league suspensions just to rest his body for the chase. And it worked. At 36 years old, he became the oldest player in NHL history to score 50 goals in a single season, still ruthlessly punishing goalies from his legendary Ovi spot. The milestones began falling like dominoes. He blew past Gordie Howe for the most goals with a single franchise, but the universe wasn't going to hand him Gretzky's record easily. In late 2024, a brutal knee-on-knee collision with Utah's Jack McBain left Ovechkin with a broken fibula, sidelining him for weeks. Ovechkin returned with absolute vengeance, remarkably finishing the season with 44 goals at the ripe age of 39. Then came April 2025. On April 4th, he scored goals 893 and 894, officially tying the Great One. 2 days later, on April 6th, the Great Eight stood alone. He fired home goal 895, becoming the undisputed top goal scorer in NHL history, beating the record that he himself claimed was impossible to break.
Impossible to catch Gretzky?
It's impossible.
You could challenge it. You might be able to do it.
And in a stroke of absolute cinematic perfection, he broke the record in his 1487th game, the exact same number of games Wayne Gretzky played in his entire career. The 2025-26 season cemented his status as an immortal. Early in the season, he scored his 900th goal, becoming the only NHL player ever to reach that unfathomable number. By March 2026, he joined Wayne Gretzky as the only two players in history to score 1,000 career goals combined between the regular season and the playoffs. He would then extend his own record for the most 30-goal campaigns to an absurd 20 seasons, becoming just the fourth player in history to score 30 goals at age 40 or older. In fact, outside of the COVID-shortened season, Ovechkin has never had less than 30 goals in a single season ever. And then came perhaps the most poetic moment of his late career. In an end-of-season showdown against the Pittsburgh Penguins, Dylan Strome intentionally violated face-off rules just so Ovechkin could take the draw against his career-long rival, Sidney Crosby. The Capitals secured a 3-0 shutout, and as the clock expired, the Penguins lingered on the ice for a ceremonial handshake line led by Crosby himself. But Ovechkin, ever the showman, waved them off the ice to the roaring delight of the Washington crowd. As the arena echoed with deafening chants of one more year, Ovechkin simply smiled in his post-game interview and said,
I will think about it.
Ovechkin's career has been nothing short of spectacular. Through a staggering 929 regular season goals, he has completely transformed the sport inside and out. From a crumbling neighborhood in Moscow to the peak of the hockey world, kissing his glove to the sky for his older brother Sergei, Alex Ovechkin conquered a number that everyone believed was etched in stone. He is undeniably the greatest goal scorer the game will ever see.